Canadians have a right to know not only where their tax dollars are going, but also that they are being used appropriately. My Conservative colleagues and I are working to scrutinize the government's spending, and one way I will keep you updated is through this regular By the Numbers review. This next installment focuses on defense procurement. Over the last few months, we have seen updates on a couple of major defense procurement projects, and I'm not convinced that Canadians are getting enough value for money. The first project I'll mention is the purchase of F-35 fighter jets. On January 9, 2023, the Minister of Defense, Anita Anand, announced that her government had secured a deal to purchase 88 F-35A fighter jets for about $114 million per plane. Keep in mind that our previous Conservative government had already gone through the process of evaluating options over 10 years ago.
And we had an independent panel of experts review and assess the risks of various options.
And concluded the F-35s were the best fit to replace Canada's 1980s era C-18s. Whether a result of petty politics or simply an inability to make a decision, the Liberals took almost 8 years to realize the F-35s are the right plane for Canada.
The Liberal government, that the Prime Minister himself, with the assistance of the Minister of National Defence, has placed the partisan interests of the Liberal Party of Canada ahead of our national interests as a nation in protecting our sovereignty. It has eroded the respect that we used to have on the world stage, and in particular, it's undermined our defense partnership with our strongest ally and neighbor, the United States.
As a result, Canadians now have to spend another $1 billion just to keep the F-18s in the air while we wait for the new jets.
The Macdonald-Laurier Institute, a very well-respected independent think tank right here in Ottawa, came out with a new report called The Catastrophe, Assessing the Damage from Canada's Fighter Replacement Fiasco. This report is very condemning of the government on the way that they've handled this file in trying to find a replacement of our fighter jets.
If the Liberals hadn't taken so long to come to the same conclusion as our previous Conservative government, we wouldn't have had to purchase a bunch of rusty F-18s in 2018. Next up, Canada's warships, namely the Canadian Surface Combatant Project. The government is planning to spend $306 billion for 15 warships over their lifespan. Construction costs alone are estimated to be $84.5 billion, over 3 times the initial estimates of $26 billion in 2008, and even up from the 2017 estimate of $62 billion. 15 ships for $84.5 billion works out to be just over $5.6 billion for the 7,000-ton frigates. Yet the British Royal Navy just completed their construction of the HMS Queen Elizabeth, a 65,000-ton aircraft carrier, for only $4.5 billion. Canadians should be asking, why is it taking $1 billion more in taxpayers' money for a ship that's 90% smaller? Even as the costs for these frigates keep climbing, DND is determined and won't be making any adjustments to their plan. What I have gathered from these two prime examples is that the Liberal government chooses to sit on their hands rather than provide our military with the equipment they need. As the world is gripped with Russian aggression, we are forced to overspend on long-awaited procurement projects instead of working to strategically increase our defense capacity. This will change under a Conservative government.
We will not waste billions of taxpayers' dollars on old fighter jets. We will not continue on with that Liberal tradition of buying used and old wore-out equipment as they have done in the past and they are doing right now. And we will make sure that we are the true North, strong and free.
We will not back down from advocating for a dollar well spent and make sure our men and women in uniform have the necessary equipment to protect our country.